Hello, my name is Ray Steiner, and I'm a retired pharmacist who loves to paint. My wife Marie and I were married in 1963, and we have 3 adult children. Our residence is in Puyallup, but the place we spend the most time is our place here on the Key Peninsula, a little cabin on the Carr Inlet side. Marie and I have found so much satisfaction in being here and enjoying the water, the kayaking, the fishing, beachcombing, and Marie's green thumb is just remarkably active here. I help her, but she's the inspiration for the art. But the side benefit that I derive is a beautiful place to paint, and I love to paint. My first memory of art and being exposed to art was in the 5th grade. And this was at Bryant Grade School in Seattle, Washington. And we had a teacher by the name of Mrs. Przonski. And the kids all teased her and made fun of her lovingly. And they called her Mrs. Prunes on Skis. And I don't know if I was the one that thought that up or if my buddy did, but it stuck. And so lovingly we teased her Mrs. Prunes on Skis. But she showed us her love by the way she taught us art and the way she brought life to what art meant to her. And she conveyed it to us, and that has stayed with me all my life. Other teachers that I have studied with are based upon my commitment when I retired from the University of Washington to become more versed in art and better understand the techniques. And I especially wanted to study art, drawing, and painting. So upon retirement from the university in 2009, I got to know an artist in Puyallup named Francis Buckmaster. And Francis is a phenomenal individual who just happened to hit it off with me. Our chemistry was right, and a mentor relationship developed. I attended Jerry Yarnell's School of Fine Art in Tucson, Arizona. Marie gave me a birthday present, and I spent some time there, a long weekend. And that was an acrylics specialty session. And I learned acrylics first before I did oil. And acrylics is a wonderful way to learn to put paint on paper or canvas, but it lacks the brilliance. It lacks the snap and the pop that you get with oil. So the oil has, over time, become the medium of my choice. Other people I have studied with in my art experiences are on the Key Peninsula. I studied portraiture with Adria Hansen at her studio in Long Branch. The second and third artists I studied with were under the auspices of the Mustard Seed Project. And this was done at the Crandall Center in Key Center. And in these classes, we studied in the main activity room there. These classes were held on a regular basis, 3 to 5 week sessions. It was really remarkable. The first one was with Tweed Meyer, and she taught us drawing line drawings from life. And then the second one was with Chris Ronstadt, a renowned local artist, very good at portraiture and drawing. But anyway, Chris taught us extreme light and extreme dark. And Chris introduced me to, at that time, an artist who is internationally famous, Richard Schmidt. Chris and I have become friends out of that class. I've actually developed a friend, and we actually formed a plein air group, the Peninsula Plein Air Painters. And we go out once a week and we paint from this natural environment. And it's remarkable. Because art for me provides me personally with a phenomenal outlet, a great sense of reward for what I do. But then there's the secondary part, which is the involvement with the art community and the people who, out of necessity, I guess, we work together, we go into projects together, we form like the Two Waters Art Alliance. We have groups who do art walks, raise money for local charities, so it's remarkable. And I really think that my wife even has benefited from the art in the community. She's become more interested in their projects. So all in all, we've really benefited from the association with those in our community here on the peninsula. I firmly believe that the palette is a reflection of the day that the person is out painting. So this palette reflects the flat gray Pacific Northwest day in which Payne's gray is the dominant pigment color. The sap green and the phthalo yellow green are used to represent what I see in the tide flats and the various algae growths and this type of thing at low tides. So the palette reflects the light of the day and the subject matter. Glen Cove last fall, we were painting in an autumn, beautiful, clear, lit day. And the amount of color that was used in this was primarily beautiful cerulean blue and ultramarine blues and whites for the sky. And then the various fall colors were used here. This represents 1, 2, 3. There were 4 alizarin crimson and a cadmium red medium, and then a cadmium orange and a cadmium yellow were in the fall foliage. This represents a beautiful clear day palette, lots of cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, titanium whites, and then the cadmium light and the lemon yellow, and then again cadmium red, medium ochre, cadmium orange, and cadmium yellow. So the palettes really do reflect, in my opinion, and I save them as a way of a mental memory note and color notes about where I've been and what I've done. This work in progress it is probably the most difficult one that I've attempted in a long time. Whenever we go out plein air painting, we visit different places, and during the painting process, at the time of day, we fix the time of day and the lighting by taking photographs. And so we have date time stamps of the time of day we're working. The sun in our area here with this flat light and gray clouds is extremely difficult. Shadows are just almost indistinguishable. And so we find ourselves faced with a two-dimensionality, with 2 dimensions, and you don't have anything as a reference here except the distant horizon and the tree line, which is out about 700 yards from where I'm standing. And you have in the area here, this is an inlet, and it's flat lit, and all of this phthalo yellow green and umbers combined with the cadmium yellows becomes a mono layer. And when you look at it, the way the artist is challenged is how do we get the values to transition from very, very light up through into dark foreground. And this was a study in values for me. Working at home from photographs, I have to be able to, I'm going to put glazes on this, and a series of glazes will be applied to make this horizon be less prominent, and the glazes will continue to provide more in here, this area with lighter, to bring it more closer to us with more enhancement, and then the final glazing will be down here. So this will be a 3-level of glazing over the base that was done out on the peninsula there. While we were painting there at this location, it becomes evident that the way the painting was established on the easel and looking at the view, that this part of the painting, this upper left quadrant, was going to have more elevation and balance here because of this over here. If you put this into a square and look at this block here is almost like a modern art painting. This up here is like an individualized painting from the Pacific Northwest, and now we're trying to put this all together. I'm going to add into this area here a very grayed, muted near horizon here, which behind these trees, and I'm going to try to accomplish this before I do the glazing. So I'm going to add about like this. This is going to be, I think that's about, we'll see how it goes here. But this is part of the challenge. I mean, when I do this, I just don't know how it's going to appear on these flat days when there's very flat light in the Pacific Northwest. Payne's gray becomes a real friend. This is constant trial and error. And Richard Schmidt, in his book, in his Alla Prima, he talks about the critical eye. You must make the decisions when you're at the easel. You can't let it pass. If you let it pass, it's too late. I'm trying to achieve the atmospheric quality of the clouds with the skyline here, and that's what's going to give that effect of depth. Without this idea of knowing that the horizon and the cloud layer and the trees are going to become almost a unity. That is coming along there. That's, I think, couple levels of glaze, and maybe I'll be able to get something that's worth it. This is a community that is whole and wonderful and rich in the arts on the Key Peninsula.